Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Album Homework Assignment. It's Sunday morning. Hope everybody's sitting down. Well, if you're in the U.S. and maybe you're on the East Coast, you're sitting down, having your breakfast, having an egg sandwich or some pancakes or a cup of coffee. But in the other parts of the world, you could be in the middle of your day. It could be dinner time for you. You could be in the middle of the night and you can't sleep and you're watching us, and that's okay too. So whenever you're joining, that's fine. We've got in the co-captain's chairs today, going head to head, we've got Steve Feigenbaum, Wayside Music and Cuneiform Records. Haven't seen him in a little while. He's back on the channel. Welcome, Steve. And here's the other guy. No, Ken Golden, professor of Prague from the Laser's Edge and in the Prague seat. What's happening, gentlemen? I've been wanting to do this matchup for a long time because for those of you who don't know, these two guys have a long history together. They're very good friends, even though you might not know it sometimes when you see them together. What was really interesting about potentially doing this matchup is considering your background, the both of you, and how much music you have either promoted or sold, it almost seemed impossible that you both could give each other an album that the other hasn't heard. But we have been able to do that.
Pete, really, I mean, there just isn't enough hours in a day to hear it all.
I know. Yeah. But with all of your expertise and history with doing what you both do, it just seemed like this might be a stretch, but it really
No. It wasn't. I mean, I remember, Ken told me this was that this train was headed down the track towards me and I should be prepared. And I think I threw out an idea of something that I thought he might like. Don't know if he'd like it, but thought he might like, and that I thought he might not have heard. And I think I nailed it on the first one.
Wow, that's pretty good.
And is that also true for you? I think so.
Well, yeah, I mean, I hadn't heard this album. I knew the artist, but I completely unfamiliar to me.
I mean, it's like, well, it's the same for me. I mean, I knew the artist name, yeah, but I didn't know the artist. I mean, but when I threw out that record, I mean, and then, I think the first thing you threw out to me is what I said. Yeah, I'll listen to that. Sure.
I'll try I'll listen to almost anything. I mean, it's, Pete, if you want to have me, have some guy throw like a black metal album at me, I'd probably decline.
I mean, the thing is, Ken and I talked about it. I mean, Ken and I are really, are good pals. We talk almost every morning for about 30 minutes. And, we both agreed, like, let's try to pick something that we hope that the other person will like, or if not like, at least be able to relate to, and also that was appropriate for your audience. It should be, I mean, Ken and I both have a pretty strong interest in jazz, but that's not what you're doing here. So let's talk about a prog or a rock related thing.
Yeah, watch me vaporize it.
Well, that too. Yeah, that too.
That being said, so Steve, since it's been your first time on here in a couple months.
Since I'm going to be vaporized.
You're going to be vaporized, you're going to go first. You're going to be our guinea pig.
Yeah, so
what were you given from Ken as an assignment?
I was given the latest. Is it the third album from Osceola Cry from Chicago?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I knew the name, and I knew that Ken had released it, and I mean, it's something we carry, and I hadn't had a chance to play it, so it was like, okay. So it was, and I did cheat and look online enough to see this. I listened to it, and it sounded okay. This is a guitar, drums, war guitar, stick guitar trio, and I was right. That was what it was, and it's 4 pretty long songs. I think the shortest song is about 7 or 9 minutes, and the third song is quite long.
21 minutes.
Yeah.
21 minutes. Yeah. And and the others were like in the 10 to 13 minute or 7 to 13 minute range, and the playing was very impressive. It's a sort of band, if they came to town, I'd go see them. I thought they were, all really good players. as and I like seeing good bands, and they were a good band. As a record, it was a little more heavy than what I normally listen to. I enjoyed it. I don't know. I don't think I would buy it. I would certainly listen to it again. I would certainly go see them. That's kind of, and I can't do it track by track because I kind of thought that the pieces were pretty much of a piece. If you don't like the first song, you're not going to like the fourth song. And if you like the second song, you're going to like the third song. That was my kind of take on it.
So, Steve, I have a question for you because I'm pretty familiar with the Ironic Divide. I like
Okay.
How would you feel if this album had vocals on it, do you think?
Well, I'm not, as far as being a complex instrumental rock record, a progressive rock record, it was on the heavy side. I think I kind of felt like maybe it should have vocals or some other component. I'm not sure that I would. I'm not a fan of like ball squeezer metal vocals, so it would sort of depend on what they had. But
yeah,
I might like it better. I don't know. That's something I thought about. Is like, this stuff is really great. It's really well played. I'm not 100% sure. I think that it's stands on its own for the 45 or 50 minutes.
Gotcha.
That was sort of my take on. So depending on the vocalist and the whatever, yeah, maybe that's what was missing for me.
Yeah, the reason I asked is because when I reviewed this album and I spent a lot of time listening to this, I think the music is great. But there were times throughout the album where I was like, you know what? Some vocals on this track might have helped.
Or either vocals or maybe a fourth. The thing is it was complex and there was a lot going on and everybody was playing their nuts off. But, it's just three guys. And the recording sounded relatively live to me. So, it's like, maybe they needed a fourth person to add a melodic line which is the same as having a singer.
Yeah.
If they wanted to stay instrumental, maybe they just needed another voice, because felt to me like, everybody was playing really hard and working really hard, but with just three people, it was kind of hard for anyone to break out and do like a really memorable melody, which is, I think, what you're kind of saying.
Yeah, I kept envisioning while listening to this, a few months back, that these guys could go in a direction kind of like Fate's Warning with
Right.
vocals. I think because I think the moodiness of the music and their style of it's progressive metal, I guess, but it almost like these songs are very well structured, but a couple of them I could just picture hearing vocals in them, and I think they would fit right in. Right, it wouldn't sound out of place, in other words. So I wonder.
I don't think that adding something would make it sound out of place, and actually adding something might have made me like it more as a record.
Gotcha. Okay, fair enough. Sounds good. All right, so we have probably not a purchase on this one, but we've got might revisit.
I've got an interest, and I've got an interest in them, and like I said, I would certainly go see them.
Yeah. Cool.
Do you guys think of them as metal?
To me, yeah. But but Ken, I'm not a metal guy, as you know, and so I'm kind of stupid about that. Pete's talking about Fate's Warning, and I know who Fate's Warning are, but I don't think I've ever heard them. So, this is outside of my comfort zone. It wasn't
to me, Ken, it's bordering on it, because it's kind of like it's heavy kind of Rush, the moodiness and the complexity of A Fate's Warning. So but it's definitely prog, right? So
Yeah, I mean, it's heavy, and there's a lot of tension, I think, throughout the album.
Yes.
And you know, and I personally don't hear it as a metal album, but I left it up to the band. Like, you know, Sensory is the metal label. I said, what do you want it on? Sensory, Laser's Edge, whatever. They wanted Sensory. Okay, that's fine. You know, I didn't care. I mean, it is a heavy album. And I think I understand what you're saying about the vocals, because I think that there is, you know, when you're doing a 21-minute piece and that's in the middle of the album, and it's got this tension throughout, and, you know, you get the solos and what have you. Yeah, maybe some vocals might kind of break it up a little bit and give you a little bit of release, if that's the right word.
yeah, it just seemed like they would fit, and it wouldn't be weird, right? Based on the nature of the composition. So I don't know, just a thought. So
Yeah. Rob Halford would not be a good fit.
no, not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
I said Rob Halford because Steve knows who that is.
I know who that is.
He's one. He knows Rob Halford and Ozzy Osbourne. You know,
Okay.
that's about it. You know. So,
No Peter Hamill in this band?
Actually, sadly, everything Ken is saying, while it's vaguely insulting, is absolutely completely true. So it's hard for me to, like, you know, I can't object. He's like steamrolling over me, and it's like utterly true.
yeah.
Then again, the record I gave Ken has a bass clarinet on it. So let's talk about steamroll.
There you go. So let's turn this over now. All right.
Oh,
So
is that? Oh, bass clarinet. Is that what that was?
That's what the hell that
Oh,
was.
wow. Oh, give me a minute. I got to revisit this album.
what were you given by Steve there, Ken?
Okay, so first off, I have to apologize to any French people that may be watching this, because I'm going to absolutely annihilate your language. And so I was given an album by Aquasurge called A l'amitié. Steve, did I do that?
L'amitié.
L'amitié. Yeah, I brought a visual aid.
Yes.
I printed it out on my color printer, the album cover. Scrooge here didn't send me a copy or anything. So,
And it's Aquasurge.
Aquasurge. So
they're a French band.
yes, and you'll pardon me, because I took detailed notes on this album. I'm going to do this track by track. So if my eyes wander, it's because I'm referencing my notes here. So it's the third album from this French band, and members were involved in Stereolab and Tame Impala, if that means anything to anybody. And my preconceived notion was that this would not be my style of music, but I know Steve really liked it, so I approached it with an open mind. In fact, Steve, you had it when you were on, when we did that show. What was it? You did, what was it, the top 5
non-English language?
Oh, non-English language?
And
Did
this
was that one of them?
That was one of them.
Okay, I don't remember.
Because it's the onset of Alzheimer's, early Alzheimer's. He doesn't remember. And yeah, so sometimes it's funny. Sometimes I review the old in the Proxy episodes, look at the comments and stuff, and that was one of the albums that you talked about. In fact, I think it was the last one. So it was interesting because you refer to it basically as songs. You know, you heard it as an album of songs.
I heard it as a song album. To me, that album seemed to me like an updating of Soft Machine Volume 2. If Soft Machine Volume 2 was made in 2015, as opposed to 1969, maybe it would sound a little bit like this.
Well, I don't think you're far off. I mean, I think I hear that, and if I can, I'll go through this track by track. So the album opens up with a 7-minute title track. It's very ethereal. There's this sort of sinister sounding synthesizer solo before the band kicks in, and then the lead vocalist comes in. His name is Julien Gasque, sorry, Julien, I'm killing your name. He has a rather flat voice that I found to be kind of emotionless, really. Then the bass clarinet is going on in the background, and that was really kind of nice. The overall feel was early Canterbury. I'm hearing early Soft Machine mixed in with some, Syd Barrett, Pink Floyd. Steve, am I too far off, or?
No, I think you're right on.
No, of course, I always am. So the second track was Serge Singe. It's the second track, and thankfully that was an instrumental, because I really didn't care for his vocals. And there's finally some guitar kicks in, and then there's this sort of chamber rock influence. There's more of the clarinet, but it married with the guitar very nicely. And then the whole thing gets kind of weird. Some of the keyboards and horns take over, and then it goes back to guitar. But the thing is, the tune has some movement. I guess that was their idea of rocking out, and it was. I enjoyed it more than the opening track. And if you think I'm wrong, feel free to interrupt me. So, but I'm not wrong. For Bob is a short tune, and it goes back to the Canterbury-esque style. But again, the vocals are a bit of a drawback. He's just not a great singer. So, and he was the guy in Stereolab, right?
Yes.
Well, did he sing in Stereolab?
I don't know.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I mean, and he's also in recent Stereolab, and I don't know recent Stereolab.
Right. So yeah. So I don't know, but his he's just kind of a nondescript vocalist. So then we get into Selage One and Two, and that was my favorite tune on the album. The rhythmic patterns of the drums remind me quite a bit of Can. The track kind of picks up steam as the other instruments fill in on top of the drums. It has this nice propulsive quality that I really enjoyed. And then it kind of shifts gears, I guess, into Selage 2, and it just sort of mellows out. And it gets kind of cinematic, a little film noir, which I'm reading some of the reviews of the album. They kind of refer to that, and I can hear that. It had this sort of dark quality, cinematic quality. The fifth track was Selage 3, and that kicked it up a notch. You still hear more of that Can influence, but also I even heard maybe a little bit Kraftwerk in there. It had a very good rhythmic drive. There's horns, there's keyboards, and you got guitar joining in. It was obvious to me that these guys were the best when he's not singing. The instrumental parts I thought were, it was happening. It was pretty good. The sixth track was Viens, and that mellows out right away. It starts out with this very sparse, echoed out bass line. The vocals and clarinet comes in. I wrote "Where's Sid?" Because it's got a little bit of Floyd thing going on, and then the other vocals, they're actually okay because they kind of fit. And you got this nice ooh and I'm backing vocals. Enjoyed that, and it's kind of moody piece, and I thought it worked pretty nicely. The clarinet comes back and it takes over about halfway through the tune, and you got some whistling. Last time I heard good whistling was on a Billy Joel album, but all right. The track then kind of morphs into this chamber rock sound. It's slow moving, but it's kind of cool. I like the whistling, so that was all right. Track 7, Traveling, it opens up with this distant sounding piano that sounds like it was recorded like down the street, and then the rhythm section kicks in, and then it gets a nice groove. And then there's this weirdo synth stuff going on, and I kind of like that. And then more reeds, and that's all good. And then the last minute or so, it's this weird, like washed out sound. It's kind of like white noise. So I wrote, yeah, I guess we're traveling, but to where? I don't know. The 8th track, Preparation, it's a bit of freeform noise. Thankfully, that was a very short track because that track sucked. The 9th track, Je Viens, is a reprise. It reappears, but with some nice guitar work. And again, it kind of reminded me of early Pink Floyd. They're still looking, these guys are still looking for Sid. the last track is called CC, and it was kind of a weird ending track. It starts out with percussion. I couldn't tell. It sounded like mallets or something. I wasn't sure what it was. Very hard to tell. Then the vocals kind of float on top of it along some tinkling on the piano until the track ends. It was kind of a nondescript ending. Overall, I would say that it's not my kind of music. What I didn't see it, I didn't hear it as a very cohesive album. Each track was a little bit too different from the other. It sounds like the album was recorded with a bunch of musicians with ADD. No idea seemed to last long enough to develop something really memorable.
Well, Ken, I mean, that's my entire record collection.
Yeah, well, there you go. Right. I mean, it just seemed very all of the moment, If I could pigeonhole it, I guess I would call it like maybe avant pop. People are calling it RIO, but I think anybody calling it RIO, they don't really know what RIO is. I don't think it,
I think avant pop is actually a really good description.
Yeah, and
I mean, they are songs, but they're not typical rock songs. I think avant, they're avant pop.
Yeah, I mean, and the French kind of have a history of that, I think.
Yes, very much.
I remember,
which is why the French loved soft machines so much. The old soft, the 1960s.
I don't know if you would classify it, but I remember years ago, I think I told you, I saw, was it Aksak Maboul?
Yeah.
So a version, and they were like this sort of weird, of like this weird pop band. I saw them open up with Zazu Bakaye at the kitchen. That was sort of weird. So all the reviews compare them to.
Much, I mean, that's a perfect, actually, Ken. That's a perfect comparison, because the record that you listened to actually came out on Arista in France for about 4.5 seconds.
Right.
And after that, they were signed by Crammed, which is Mark Hollander of Aksak Maboul's label.
Pete, I told you I'd nail it. And so all the reviews compare the band, make references to Albert Marcourt, and I'm just not knowledgeable about his music, so I can't say.
They're much more pop than Albert.
Okay, I saw some reviews comparing them to King Crimson, and all I could say is I want to drink what they're drinking, because I don't hear that at all. So there's nothing Crimson-esque about this music at all. It's just like I said, it wasn't bad. It wasn't like a bad album. I will say that Jim Williamson is my employee, my longtime employee, and Jim heard the album as I'm listening to it, and he was like, "What the fuck are you listening to? What is that shit?" And then I said, "Jim, I'm gonna play it again if you don't shut up." And as the weeks would go on, it was like, "Jim, I'm going to play that album again." And I did. And he was like, "Oh no, not again." So, but yeah, it wasn't, it seemed like these guys were trying to, but not in a cohesive way. As I said, it was just this grouping of songs. It wasn't this I couldn't say, what does this band sound like? I couldn't say in a cohesive way. I mean, to say avant pop is one thing, but to really make a comparison to, let's say, a style or a band or something like that. Yeah, we talk about, early Soft Machine, and that pops up, but it's not like it's like the whole album, like we took, like, for example, that band Magic Bus. You listen to Magic Bus, their new band, you say, "Oh, those guys are very Canterbury influenced."
I think, the reason that I didn't give you Magic Bus and I gave you this is I think this is better, because I say if Soft Machine Volume 2, but it doesn't sound like Soft Machine.
It doesn't. But I mean, you can.
Whereas Magic Bus sounds like Caravan in 1969.
Yeah. No, I mean, but like I said, like that first track, I'm hearing this. To me, it sounded like early Soft Machine. I'm hearing, like, in my head, I'm always hearing voices in my head, but this time the voice was like Robert Wyatt, and it had that feel, and I would have enjoyed it more if that's the way the whole album was. So when they were kind of getting experimental, I didn't, it's like, well, okay, but how does that relate to the first song? How does it relate to the second song? Each song was a little different. Well, not actually a lot different, I thought. So that's why I'm saying I didn't, it wasn't a cohesive listen.
It wasn't a cohesive album.
Correct.
Whereas, Osceola Cry, despite what I said, was absolutely cohesive.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I mean, absolutely.
There's a sound.
Everything, there was a sound, there was a take, there was a stylistic approach to everything. And I absolutely heard that. Yeah.
So that was my take on it. I mean, I listened to it. Well, I think I went through it about, to Jim's dismay, about 5 or 6 times.
I was going to say, I hope you listened to it at least when Jim was always there.
Always. Oh, I always made sure. I always made sure of that.
I listened to Osceola Cry 6 or 7 times. So same thing.
Yeah. And,
very cool. Well, so we got 2 kind of like middle of the roads for both of you, but that's okay. Neither one was the other's kind of cup of tea, but that's okay.
Well, the thing is that Ken and I have a lot of the same interests, and obviously we're kind of in the same business.
Yeah.
But for this, in this case, we kind of gave each other. It's like I didn't look for something I thought Ken would like. I gave Ken something that I thought wouldn't be that he would. I didn't want him to hate it, but I gave him something that I liked that was, and I also wanted it to be modern. I didn't want, and I'm really glad he gave me something modern. I did not want a 45-year-old prog record that I didn't know, because I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's kind of depressing because both of us feel like we're trying to move this a little bit forward.
Sure.
I mean,
Sure.
or if not moving forward, at least we're trying to support people who are doing it now, who are still around. Yeah.
it was also hard to find a 45-year-old album that Grandpa doesn't have, or doesn't know.
Yes.
I mean, I had one. I actually had one that I was pretty certain he didn't have, and I wasn't.
What is it? Since we're not doing it.
Strange Days, 9 Parts to the Wind.
Yeah, I don't know that.
Yeah, see. So they were.
But I'm actually happier you gave me something.
Yeah, and they were like a good British band that kind of sounded a little bit like Straubs or something like that. They were good, a good band, and I was, that was my inclination. I was going to send you something like that, but you would have heard all the Italian albums, all the German albums. All that
sure.
stuff.
I've heard. I mean, even if I haven't heard them in 30 years, I heard them 30 years ago.
Yeah. So I didn't. Yeah, so that was fine. And then it was hard because I know you don't really like metal, and it was funny. Jim suggested that I give Steve the last Orphanland album.
Oh, yeah, I don't know about that.
But but it had like Steve Hackett.
Musically, it's outstanding though.
Yeah, it's like Steve Hackett plays on it, and but I don't think he would have liked it. And I thought about even like Subterranean Masquerade, which I love. But yeah, he's not a metal guy. If I would have, I thought Osceola Cry was probably pushing it up to the line,
Right.
After that, he would start hating on me.
He would start to squeal.
Yeah. Like a little piggy.
Well, I mean, I think it's cool you both got something that you gave. Both of you listened to your assignments pretty often, which is cool, and you gave honest assessments about them, and that's really all you can ask for. So
yeah, and I'm sure people will eviscerate me.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, Ken, in 2015, I went to the Rock and Opposition Festival in France, and one of the main draws was that Aquasurge played that year. And I don't know if they're usually not very good live or they just happen to not, but I didn't think they were very good. It was like, that was a long way to go to be disappointed.
Yeah. Once again, I'm validated. Thank you, Steve.
All right. Well, there you have it, everybody. Before we let both of these gentlemen go, Steve, can you talk a little bit about new things that are happening Wayside and Cuneiform? Anything new coming in for sale that you want to let people know about?
Oh, well, I'm doing a lot of stuff with cuneiform. I have the soft machine thing coming out in March, which I'm very happy about because it's from January and March of 1970, and it's really great. And I'm obviously a big booster of that band. And, it's kind of funny because 5 years ago, 4 years ago, I thought I was done, and it's kind of nice to not be done.
Yeah.
So happy to be here.
We're all happy you're still here. Absolutely. So be on the lookout, everybody, over on Cuneiform Records for a cool new archival release from Soft Machine. Very cool. Ken, how about over on Laser's Edge, Sensory, all that good stuff?
I'm waiting. They're sitting on a boat in New York Harbor. I'm waiting for vinyl of Wolverine, Dark and Sun, to show up. And we're wrapping up. Pete, remember you reviewed Het Pandora Ensemble?
Yep.
So we're wrapping that up for vinyl. That'll probably turn up in 2023.
It's probably going to turn up in 2023.
That's how long. I don't know if people who are interested in vinyl understand how long it's taking. I also had mentioned Philosophophobia, this new prog metal band that I have that I'm waiting for the CDs to show up. We'll start doing promo on it end of the month, early March. It's going to be like probably a late April release. Ice Age has promised me something before the summer, so that's been promising. And other than that, not much. I mean, we got in, if people hit our website, lasercd.com, today we got in the new album from the Space Lords. If you like killer space rock, those guys are just, I think they're fantastic. I think they're top of the heap. A German trio. I don't know if Peter, are you familiar with them? Have you heard them?
I've heard, I think there was our last album, I think, yeah.
Guitar, bass, drums, and they all play some keyboards and stuff, but it's just heavy kind of, I don't know. It's got sort of like it's got maybe a little bit of Hawkwind in them, or with Pink Floyd. Not even so much the Osricks, but more of like a Pink Floyd meets Hawkwind thing, and it's all instrumental. I think they're great, and that just showed up today. And there's a lot of stuff now. We're into February, and there's a lot of releases starting to happen.
There's a lot of stuff starting to show up. That's true.
I mean, Inside Out. We do really well with Inside Out. We have a lot of new releases. I can't even mention them, but I see what's coming on the release schedule, and it's some really exciting stuff, and some unusual things coming from them. And we'll be taking pre-orders on that stuff. And yeah, we're busy. We seem to be busy.
Cool.
So
it's good. Busy's good. Busy's good.
Yeah. Yep.
So there you have it, everybody. Make sure you check out both Cuneiform Records and Wayside, as well as Laser's Edge, lasercd.com. And thanks for watching. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. For Steve Feigenbaum and Ken Golden, I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for spending some time with us here on this Sunday. And
thank you very much.
And we'll see you all real soon.
Super Bowl Sunday. Is it Super Bowl Sunday?
That was last week, Ken.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I guess I should watch.
There you go. Hopefully you did watch.
Oops.
Now you know all the secrets, everybody. There you have it. So,
Oops.
Have a good one, everybody. I am Pete Pardo. I'll see you all real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
He's too busy putting all those Inside Out things in.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to anything outside these four walls. So.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.